I've been a little busy of late. Haven't had a chance to do much online stuff, but I was doing a little bit of practice then, and kind of realised that the apeggio, we've talked about arpeggios so many times, and you've heard all about them, but do you realise the power of the one octave arpeggio? Now we can all play a one octave arpeggio if we are at most levels. Even a beginner stage can play. Like 6 months into violin, you could probably say you could play at least one arpeggio in one octave range. So open, you could say you could learn that after 6 months. Or if you've been playing for a long time, you would have obviously learned 3 octaves, 2 octaves in all various positions. Now, when they say all various positions, the most common position, open, first and third, is the most common position. And I'm sort of referring to the jazz world here when I say those positions, not the classical world, because obviously classical goes into all sorts of territory where it needs to go. But in jazz improvisation, and in particular, let's just say gypsy jazz, we do rely on our arpeggios a stack, so much. But we can achieve quite a lot just by knowing the one octave shape. So the one octave shape is just within the handspan, not requiring any fancy trickery. 1, 3, 1, 4 if you're playing in first position. Or in open position, it's even easier if you've got those open strings. Now, I'm going to show you a little exercise that I think you should do. Is that we're jumping out of open position first and third, the familiar territory. And we're going to start to get into the semitone down or up, or continue down the semitone shifting using the one octave arpeggio. So if you are in third position, you like being there. You can slip down a semitone using either your first finger or your fourth finger, the bottom note of the arpeggio or the top note of the arpeggio. Same with the top. Now that is a lot harder to get in tune, even I struggle. In fact, I don't think I've ever practiced that, ever, in that way. And I should have. I should have listened to these Shenzo lessons a long time ago. Now it's a nice little line, right? There it is, there's a little jazz line. And it's all based on the one octave arpeggio. But you're shifting into this unfamiliar territory, which is, out of third position, it's what do people call it? Second position or flat third position? What's it called? So does it really matter? It's just call it whatever you want. It's a semitone down from where you already are. Now in the jazz world, knowing that semitone down or semitone up is actually really useful if you want to get advanced jazz where you're playing outside of the key. So in minor swing, right? All those ideas I just did, all based around the one octave arpeggio, where I'm slipping in and out of the key. I'm going up a tone perhaps from the tonal center. So when it goes on that chord 4, I was playing an E major, one octave arpeggio on top of the D minor. So when you kind of know those little tricks, play a tone above the key center in which you're in. Key center being that chord world, be it chord 4, D minor in the case of minor swing. You know that playing a tone above suddenly gives you this extension of harmony into the advanced jazz world. even though you may have only been playing violin for 6 months and can play one octave arpeggio. So there's no reason why you can't actually sound advanced. The thing that makes you sound even more advanced is pure intonation, pure tone, and pure rhythm, right? So it's not just the jazz harmony. There's those 4 things that have got to be happening at the same time: intonation, rhythm, tone, and the knowledge of what you're doing. Those 4 really important things. But you can still take a simple idea, the one octave arpeggio, and apply that accurately across all those 4 parameters and sound instantaneously amazing, right? To the jazz listener, to the jazz composition world, to what you're putting out there into the jazz world, you can suddenly sound really good if you've got the one octave arpeggio down. And that's what this lesson is about. It's just about going, get your one octave arpeggios in tune, in time, good tone, and then know where to put them, i.e. the chord 4 playing a tone above. Now, you don't need to know every time where to put them. You can stab in the dark, the great unknown, which puts you into the realm of the advanced jazz player, where you're letting go of your conscious mind. Really, you're letting go. You're letting go to knowing you must know all notes over what chord in order to solo well. You're letting go of that. You've installed it already, right? I've learned English, therefore I can now talk a sentence without really thinking too hard about it. It just happens. Okay, that's the territory. That's the territory where advanced jazz performers go on stage, play. They have fun. What will I do tonight? How will I let go? How much will I let go? How much will I shut down the conscious mind and just let the subconscious mind do all the work? In the same way that the subconscious mind is doing all the work right now in talking to you. I'm not reading a script. So, how long does it take to do all that? People ask. Well, how long did it take for you to talk? How long did it take for you to walk? Right? It's in that ballpark of time. And of course, there's no such thing as, well, I can talk the best in the world and I can walk the best in the world. There's no point. You're just getting better at walking and better at talking. And you're getting better at playing jazz. You're just going to get better at it. The more you do it, the more tricks you find, the more little keys that unlock doors into worlds that you never thought was possible. And you will continue that if you have a passion and a love for it all your life, like I have. I'm still finding little tricks and bits and bobs. But I can safely say, looking back over all this time, the one octave arpeggio, if only someone had said that to me 25 years ago, 30 years ago. They'd said arpeggios in my classical studies, but not to the extent where they went, just do one octave and know it really well on every single key and every single position and be able to shift down effortlessly. No one said that. So I'm saying that to you today because I know how important it is. So I don't need to demonstrate too much more about all that. You know what a one octave arpeggio is. You know that you can play it in open position, first position, third position, and you know you can transpose it up a semitone, down a semitone, continue down another semitone, or keep going up semitones. You don't need to listen to me do that all day long. You get the concept. So all you got to do now is do 10 minutes of practice a day. 10 minutes, it's nothing. It's so little time. In the time that you've just been searching around for this video, you could have practiced the 10 minutes, right? It takes no time out of your day. Have your fiddle ready to go. Have it ready to go and just practice those arpeggios nice and slow. Working on tone. Changing between minor and major. Now, in the bow, of course, we've got lots of options. Bouncing the bow, spiccato bows. We've got slurring, we've got separating. So we've got all that articulation on top of the arpeggios. That's like the 6th thing to think about, is how to express it. And the dynamics, you know, whether to start it, you know, whether to put these annoying swells in it or not. I would not recommend putting annoying swells in. But you may want to do a dynamic over a solo that goes for a longer period of time. Heaps of ways to then express it. I broke it up. I broke up the apeggio, so then it became broken thirds, but it was still the basis, the foundation was the apeggio. The 1 octave basic apeggio from 6 months into learning violin was the foundation. So that's why that foundation's crucial. If you ain't got that foundation, what happens to the house? The whole house falls down as soon as there's a breeze. So it's so important in jazz. And particularly, I can't stress this more, with this instrument, the hardest jazz instrument on the face of the planet. If anyone would like to disagree, please personally message me and otherwise try and convince me. But this is one of the hardest instruments in the world to play jazz on. Why? Because there's no flipping frets. And secondly, each time you get a little bit higher on the instrument, the distance between the notes gets slightly smaller. Now, what instrument in the world does that? Piano doesn't. As soon as you start at the bottom, the keys are the same distance as they're at the top. Play the trumpet, valves don't suddenly change distance. When you play the clarinet, the holes don't suddenly get smaller. That you suddenly have to micro adjust. No such thing. So this is the hardest instrument. It's not an accurate instrument from the bottom to the top. It gets smaller gradually. And God knows how on earth we all play it, but we do. And that is why when you hear some violinists, their intonation is not exactly, that's the only reason why. Otherwise the intonation would just be perfect like a clarinet or a trumpet or a saxophone or a piano. It'd be just guitar. They've got frets. Right? You guys, all those instrumentalists have got years ahead of us. So if you're going to do violin, if you're going to do jazz violin, you have to have good intonation. You have to spend the time practicing it. And be ruthless in it. Be absolutely accurate. Sit there with the piano. Make sure you're in tune. Have a drone going. Do whatever it takes. Do not compromise intonation. You're giving all violinists a bad name if you go out there and play jazz and play it out of tune. Secondly, rhythm. Now, when I go ding on a piano, it's just this muscle going ding and a few others going. But with the violin, I've got I'm holding the bow, there's a whole coordination of muscles all happening at once that's not ergonomically intuitive. You have to train these muscles to do a specific task, very specific. But you can find a natural relaxation point, and it's all about finding the relaxation point when it comes to doing anything of complexity. Find its relaxation point. So what I mean by that is using gravity to your advantage. So with swing, you don't have to do all the notes in this top of this part of the bow. You don't have to do it all up there. You can. You can slur an entire phrase with one bow, right? It's not all just Stefan Grappelli, top half of he just did that. That doesn't mean to say you have to do that or I have to do that. You've got the option. That's just one little area of the bow. What about the rest? Right? Use it. This is an effects unit. It can do amazing things. Don't just buy an effects unit and just use reverb and a little bit of chorus. You got distortion, you got phaser, you got flanger, right? Use it. That's what this is. This is an incredible, it's been around for about 400 years, this effects unit. It doesn't run out of batteries, doesn't need power. Just needs a little bit of rosin and some technique and some awareness about how to use it properly. So use it. Now, listen to other instruments. Trumpet, you know, is a great inspiration. Learn their licks. Violin's got all this potential. Use it. And with that, when I say learn their licks, learn their articulation is what I mean. Don't necessarily just copy lick after lick after lick. Learn the articulation and the expression. Same with saxophone. Like violin chromatic scale, super easy if you've learnt it. That's where you can kind of right, that opening line of Rhapsody in Blue by Gershwin. Like the whole chromatic scale thing is kind of nice. It's like it's kind of starting to sound like a clarinet, you know? Anyway, that's going on a rave. I'll rave all day long, and I should stop. But I just wanted to get that very important 1 octave arpeggio installed in everyone's consciousness to be aware of that type of thing. Anyway, please, I'm going to put this up on the post on my online teaching. I'm not online teaching at the moment, but I will be doing some in-person teaching soon. So if you're in Australia, unfortunately, and if you can't get to Australia, obviously that's a bummer, obviously with the whole COVID thing at the moment. But online teaching is not what I'll do some videos maybe, but I'm wanting to do more in-person teaching. Find it has more impact than the online stuff. Anyway, keep practicing, keep practicing, keep practicing, keep practicing, keep at it, and take that very important 1 octave arpeggio to heart and work with it. Persevere, get it in tune, get it in time, get the tone right, get the articulation varied, and start using it in your jazz solos. You can't go wrong. All right, see you later.